Hey, it's Jessica Goose here with RealAgriculture.com, and joining me right now is the Honorable Stockwell Day. How are you doing today, sir?
Doing great, thank you.
Now, your big message today at the Prairie Cereals Summit was kind of a little bit of a catch-all in regards to China and what we're kind of seeing around there. Now, unfortunately, Mr. Scheer kind of took a little bit of that limelight today as far as news goes, so that's what I wanted to talk to you first of, and then we'll get to China. But were you shocked by Andrew Scheer stepping down as the Conservative leader?
Well, I was a bit surprised because he had said publicly and to his caucus, and I was in a conversation with him last week, that he was going to continue, despite what I feel was an unsavory movement within the party to get rid of him. So it was a bit of a surprise today.
And I think a lot of people saw that, right? Even at a news conference about 2 weeks ago, he was saying, no, I'm going to fight for this position. I'm going to stay there. Now, going forward, do you have anybody that you would kind of think of for the leader? Or is it kind of unsettling to, you have somebody who gained more seats, who, yes, there was a defeat in the sense that he's not our prime minister, but, he did a lot of things going up to this, but unfortunately he is getting pushed out. So is there anybody that you can think of that would be kind of first in line? Or
I think there's a list of great potential candidates out there. I'm not going to mention any particular names, but yeah, there's some great choices.
There's some good choices.
I think if Andrew decided to stay and run again in another leadership race, I think he would have done well. I don't know if he would have won. But no, we've got some great candidates out there.
Okay, so the future is bright, obviously, for the CPC.
I think so, yeah.
For the CPC party. Now, switching gears to China, what was your kind of key message that you wanted to bring to farmers here at the Prairie Cereals Summit?
Well, first to express gratitude, as a Canadian, for everything they've brought to this country. And it comes from hard work, sacrifice, innovation. The agriculture community in Canada, they're world leaders. But also I need to tell them, I don't think they are going to relax, but they can't. Because more countries are learning how, and I'm happy for this, to produce great products. And that's simply a reality. Great products using less land, using less fertilizer, and it was to keep them alert to the fact that they have to stay on the leading edge. They can't just rest on this great reputation that we do have for Canadian products.
One thing that you mentioned is that, China likes us, but China doesn't need us.
Right.
Expand a little bit with that.
Well, just that. China in so many areas are becoming self-sustaining. They have figured a whole lot of things out, and I use the Huawei phone as an example now. First time ever, they've had a phone, and it's world-leading phone. There's 100% China-made, China parts, China manufactured. And so does that mean they won't buy from anywhere else in the world? No, of course they will. They just don't have to anymore. They are becoming increasingly self-sufficient.
And is that something as a Canadian to be kind of worried about, or is that something that maybe Canada needs to follow suit with as well?
I think the word worry, I think they should think about that for decades, understandably, Canada was the world agricultural supplier in many, many areas. It wasn't that many decades ago. China needed our wheat, desperately needed our wheat. We provided it. Now they have other sources, and they're getting stuff figured out at home. So we've got to work hard at it.
Talk to me about the Hong Kong effect and what's kind of taking place there in regards to the relations with China.
People need to realize, I'm the first one to be, I'm a pro-Democrat, pro-freedom of speech, the right to demonstrate, all of that. So I don't like what's happening there. Having said that, people also realize that Hong Kong is being affected economically in a very significant way. I believe my own gut is telling me that I don't know what that's going to improve. That may continue to go down. And I don't think it's completely unsettling to mainland China to think of Shanghai emerging ahead even more than they are right now because of Hong Kong's demise. Indonesia is going to benefit from this. So, Hong Kong can lose over this. And I say that being a Democrat and being very pro-freedom of speech.
Now, switching gears to kind of partnerships, recently the Conservatives defeated, or the Liberals were voted down in regards to a China working group. Do you think that this is something that's needed and that this is kind of a good thing going forward, or do you think this is just another kind of group that's going to go over stuff again and maybe not get things done that should be?
I think the motion itself, I think it was Aaron O'Toole who brought it forward.
Yep.
No, I think it was very timely. And when you have, you can have existing formations set up to deal with issues, but when you've got an issue as huge as China, it does not hurt to have a very active, on the edge, alert working group in Parliament. I was very disappointed to see the Liberal response to that. That's them saying, no, we got this, and we'll let our own women and men handle the situation. You folks really don't know what's going on. No, the China problem we've got is going to require the intellectual resources of members from all party. That's why this committee would have been good, and I'm disappointed the Liberals voted it down.
But obviously a good thing in a sense that they are going to go through with it because it was defeated.
They're going through with it.
Yeah.
It needs to move ahead.
What does Canada, in your opinion, need to do in order to regain that relationship with China? I have an inkling about something in Vancouver, but what would be, your solution, especially when we look at, the canola shipments being stopped now? What do you think is Canada's kind of next step? That should be Canada's next step.
Well, we can make all the high-sounding, arguments and discussions we want. The issue with Huawei CFO being detained is the issue, period. Get that resolved, and things will start moving along again.
Really? Simple as that?
It's as simple as that.
And now you talked about that again today, and you were saying that this technically didn't even really have to happen. Explain to me that a little.
Well, we do have an extradition treaty. We do have things that we take into consideration before you act on it. And I'm not going to totally fault all officials because it happened suddenly. But from what I've heard and with my views on it, there was not sufficient, there could have been more briefing on it. There could have been a better understanding. And I do believe it could have been avoided. Anyway, it's gone ahead. There is still a way out. And the Prime Minister said, well, it's the rule of law, you can't let her go. No, within that particular law, there is room for political discretion, written within the law. So you can move on it, and I would like to see our government move on it.
What do you think's holding them back?
Well, it's a great question because they keep getting asked and they don't seem... No, it is in the hands of judiciary at this point.
Yes,
so
and that's coming up, like you said, in January.
Yeah, there's a ruling coming up in January.
Okay.
There's actually 2 more subsequent to that. But the main one is in January, and we can't now defy what a judge is going to say. So now we do have to wait. But the minister, following that ruling, can point, especially if the judge also points to it, if the judge reflects at all about the political discretion is there now existing within the law, be a great opportunity for the government to do everything possible to acknowledge that.